Welcome to AK Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of Soul Land 3, Legend of the Dragon King Part 153. Without any delay, start explanation. Tang Wulin might have felt anxious if somebody else had been there, but he was truly relieved when he saw it was none other than Gu's teacher. This was not due to his trust in Lin Yaozhu, but in Gu. He would absolutely never believe that Gu would refuse to help him. The rest of the staff were bustling about in the Spirit Ascension platform while Lin Yaozhu brought Tang Wulin and Gu to her office. I saw what happened earlier. The Overlord Dragon's appearance in the intermediate Spirit Ascension platform was the Spirit Pagoda's mistake. It was supposed to be the guardian of the path between the intermediate and advanced Spirit Ascension platforms. Moreover, it was the strongest guardian. Due to certain circumstances, it accidentally escaped to the outer region. The Spirit Pagoda can only exercise limited control over a soul beast of such a rank. However, you've absorbed it. Lin Yaozhu's face took on a peculiar expression as she looked at Tang Wulin while speaking. Even if it was the Spirit Pagoda's fault that the Overlord Dragon appeared on the intermediate Spirit Ascension platform's area, at most she would only need to compensate the Soul Master who bumped into the Overlord Dragon afterward. The reason she went to the Spirit Ascension platform's entrance was because this young man before her actually absorbed the Overlord Dragon in a rather baffling way. Lin Yaozhu had rushed over at once when she realized that Gu was involved, and then she saw Tang Wulin once again. She had arrived just in time to witness the final moments when the Overlord Dragon had turned into smoke and was completely absorbed into Tang Wulin's body. Your Eminence, would you believe me if I told you I don't know what happened either? Tang Wulin spoke with a forced smile. I believe you. Tell me how you felt at the time. The Heavenly Phoenix Dolur did not seem suspicious of Tang Wulin's words. After all, in her eyes, Tang Wulin was still a child of just over 10 years old. Furthermore, he had led a clean and pure life. After Tang Wulin had helped his companions gain their spirit souls on the Spirit Ascension platform earlier, Lin Yaozhu investigated this young fellow who had a close relationship with her disciple. Tang Wulin explained, there seems to be a dragon-type force in my bloodline, but my martial soul has yet to be truly awakened. In other words, it's a different type of awakening. The energy of my bloodline is capable of bringing forth this ability of mine. I'm capable of generating a suppression effect on most dragon-type soul beasts, but only a certain amount. That's why we were unable to defeat the Overlord Dragon earlier, but I had to try since I already entered the Spirit Ascension platform. Then He did not try to conceal anything. He recounted everything that he felt, along with the fact that there was no change to his body after absorbing the dragon. Lin Yaozhu gazed at him deeply. Wulin, I'm sorry. This is our Spirit Pagoda's mistake, but I'm afraid that you'll have to go through a series of physical inspections due to the strange circumstances of this incident. Before Tang Wulin could even answer, Gu spoke with a frown, but why, teacher? Our training on the Spirit Ascension platform was interrupted, and you've said yourself that this was our Spirit Pagoda's own mistake. Why does he have to be put through these inspections? Lin Yaozhu darted her a look. Of course it would be easy to settle if this was such a simple incident. We would even offer some compensation. However, you need to understand that the soul beasts in the Spirit Ascension platforms really exist, in a sense. Tang Wulin was startled immediately upon hearing these words. He could vaguely sense that he understood the mystery. Upon seeing Tang Wulin's eyes widen in surprise, Lin Yaozhu smiled gently and spoke, "Don't be afraid. It's only a few routine inspections. Actually, it's fine for me to inform you that many high-ranking soul masters are aware of what happened in the Spirit Ascension platform earlier. Most of the soul beasts you see on the Spirit Ascension platform are real creatures. We use a device that allows your spiritual consciousness to bring your body's brand into the platform's world. When you are in that world, the energy of any soul beasts that you kill will be attached to your spiritual power and your body's brand. Then it is brought out using the device. In reality, the soul beasts that all of you see there are actual spirit souls that are created or cloned by the Spirit Pagoda. The Spirit Pagoda's greatest source of income is the creation of spirit souls, yet there will inevitably be some abnormal results from this process. These defective products cannot be absorbed by soul masters directly, but we are able to send them into the spirit ascension platform after a special cultivation process. These products will then manifest before you. The soul beast and soul powers characteristics from their main body will be converted into pure energy that is absorbed into your soul ring after they are killed. This is the origin of the spirit ascension platform. However, not all soul beasts in the spirit ascension platform are defective products. In order to improve the spirit ascension platform, particularly at the intermediate and advanced levels, we added some perfected artificial spirit souls, and as well as some real spirit souls. This ensures that the entire system is further perfected. Tang Wulin had only just realized that this was how the spirit ascension platform originated. He could not help admiring the spirit pagoda in his heart. The heavenly phoenix Doluo explained in such a simple manner, but he wondered how many technical issues were involved. This was the essence of the spirit pagoda's wisdom for millennia and mega-annums before the spirit ascension platform was created. Battle armor, artificial spirit souls, and spirit ascension platforms were known as the epoch-making products. They had managed to enhance the human soul master's overall power to a large extent. This was also the main reason that the soul beasts faced extinction before the soul masters. The spirit pagoda played an extremely important role in this. Tang Wulin finally understood more about the spirit pagoda after listening to Leng Yaozhu's words. Your Eminence, so the overlord dragon that we ran into earlier was... Leng Yaozhu looked at him with a deep gaze as she spoke. That was a real spirit soul. It is known to us as the Unyielding Spirit Soul. The Unyielding Spirit Soul. This was the first time Tang Wulin had ever heard of such a title. Leng Yaozhu nodded and spoke. The spirit pagoda has been preserving a large number of spirit souls since ages past. Generally, a soul beast's spirit soul will gradually dissipate after it has died. In order to retain these spirit souls, the spirit pagoda uses a number of special techniques to preserve them in the hopes of finding the most suitable soul masters for them in the future. Just like how we are studying the spirit soul recovery system. If the research is successful, a soul master who dies from ordinary causes in the future will need only be sent to the spirit pagoda 3 days after his passing. Then all the spirit souls he has ever owned in his lifetime can be extracted for preservation. This will greatly conserve our resources. Of course, it'll take a very long time before this research can be perfected. We would also need the soul master's family members to cooperate with us. After all, the soul master's body will be violated to a certain extent in the process of extracting spirit souls. Tang Wulin widened his eyes. Has the spirit pagoda achieved such a level of technological advancement? Leng Yaozhu continued, not all the spirit souls that we preserve can be absorbed by soul masters. It has been that way ever since ancient times, and it remains so to this day. The majority of such spirit souls cannot be absorbed due to their own pride or intractable behavior. These are the ones that we have dubbed unyielding spirit souls. If a soul master attempted to absorb them by force, he would certainly be endangering his life. We have kept precise statistics and records of these spirit souls, in order to ensure that the soul masters will never bump into them. However, most of the unyielding spirit souls are very powerful. Just preserving them has consumed a lot of the spirit pagoda's resources. We are trying to figure out a way to send them into the spirit ascension platform. This is mainly to perfect the spirit ascension platform, but it'll also ensure that they have a place to go so we can save cost. The overlord dragon is an unyielding spirit soul. Tang Wulin asked. Leng Yaozhu nodded and answered, yes. Moreover, it is an elite soul amongst all of them. It is one of the most uncontrollable creatures. There are only a few that are on par with it. The overlord dragon is wild and overbearing in temperament. There was once a human soul master who had achieved rank 90 that wanted to absorb it as his final spirit soul, but he died tragically as a result of being forcibly breached by it. None have ever conquered its unyielding will. Amongst the spirit pagoda's preserved souls there is only one spirit soul from a soul beast that has been extinct since ancient times. It is also a creature at the pinnacle and exceedingly disobedient. It'll often devour the other soul beasts in the spirit ascension platform. We have thought about killing it, but due to its long history, as well as its rarity, we chose to leave it be. Yet, it was absorbed by you today. This has piqued our curiosity, and that is why we need to collect a set of statistics from you and keep you under some observation in the future. Even though there is no way to absorb the unyielding spirit soul, the amount of resources and money that the Spirit Pagoda has spent on the Overlord Dragon is astronomical. We will need to explain its disappearance to the Spirit Pagoda's council system. Don't worry. We won't do anything bad to you. It is just some routine inspections, and we will provide you with a set of our inspection results. I've already sent someone to notify your Shrek Academy. Someone will come from your academy to personally supervise your inspection. Is the matter so serious? Even the academy was notified. However, Tang Wulin felt calmer upon hearing Ling Yaozhu's words. The Spirit Pagoda managed its affairs appropriately, and since someone from the academy would be here, then naturally there was nothing for him to worry about. Very well, Your Eminence. I'll certainly work together with you, he said with a smile. Ling Yaozhu's description of the Overlord Dragon made it sound even stronger. Yet why isn't there a single change to my body despite being completely fused with a being so powerful? Ling Yaozhu seated them first. She would only begin the inspection on Tang Wulin after the party from the academy arrived. If another Soul Master was in Tang Wulin's place, he would have been dragged away for the inspection much earlier. However, Tang Wulin was different. Not only was he Gu's partner, he was also a student from Shrek Academy. Ling Yaozhu had heard of his situation even though she was living in the Spirit Pagoda. There was no doubt that Shrek Academy greatly valued his presence. She could easily get caught in a confrontation with the academy if she were to perform a set of thorough physical inspections in a rush. That was why they notified the academy's side at once. Moments later, a middle-aged woman came by Ling Yaozhu's room and softly spoke, "Your Eminence, the people from Shrek Academy have arrived." "Who have they sent?" Ling Yaozhu asked dully. The woman hesitated for a moment before quietly saying, "It's Her Eminence, the Holy Spirit Doluo." Ling Yaozhu's body clearly stiffened for a moment upon hearing the name and she stood up at once. "Please." Soon, Tang Wulin was brought before the Holy Spirit Doluo. The Holy Spirit appeared even more elegant today. It was unknown if she had intentionally dressed up. She was wearing a long white gown, free from blemishes of any kind. Her entire person overflowed with wispy beauty. Her fair complexion and tender skin looked as though they would break at a pinch. She was utterly unlike a Doluo who was famous for years. None would doubt if it was claimed that she had yet to reach her 20s. "Your Eminence, Heavenly Phoenix." The Holy Spirit Doluo nodded gently toward the Heavenly Phoenix Doluo. "Sister Yoli, since when have you become so courteous?" Ling Yaozhui welcomed her with a smile and a gentle hug. The Holy Spirit Doluo chuckled. "Business is business, right? It's been too long since I last saw you. I've missed you. What happened? Is Tang Wulin in trouble?" The Heavenly Phoenix Doluo smiled gently. "There has been a little trouble. That's why we notified all of you immediately. However, it isn't his, but our trouble." She recounted the course of events in a simple manner. Yoli did not question Tang Wulin because she knew the Heavenly Phoenix Doluo and the Spirit Pagoda she represented well enough to know that she was not lying. "Then, we'll work together with you to investigate this matter. I'll be here on the scene through the whole inspection," the Holy Spirit Doluo smiled as she spoke. "Of course." The Holy Spirit Doluo then came to Tang Wulin's side. "Don't worry, I'll accompany you during the entire process. We'll return after the inspection," she smiled as she spoke calmly, and yet, anyone could hear the confidence and pride concealed in her tone. Tang Wulin felt as if the Holy Spirit Doluo was different than usual. She had always been so easygoing and was as gentle as flowing water. However, there seemed to be a sharpness to her demeanor today. Tang Wulin was taken to a huge room full of instruments, and a series of inspections ensued. Tang Wulin did not know most of the implements in the room. All manner of scans and measurements were carried out continuously. He felt as though he were a puppet constantly being fiddled by all sorts of things, but it did not cause him too much pain. They had some problems drawing blood, as Tang Wulin's skin was so tough that ordinary needles could not pierce it at all. In the end, He had to use his own golden dragon claw to make a small incision in his skin, and only then did they succeed. Gu stayed by his side the whole time. When she saw Tang Wulin's blood being drawn, she furrowed her brows furiously. All of the inspections were finally completed after a full 2 hours of suffering. Tang Wulin, who could usually cultivate all day without being fatigued, was left feeling dizzy. Gu passed him some water and he took a few big gulps. He then sat for a while as he slowly regained his strength. Finally, everything is done. Tang Wulin exhaled a breath of relief. Gu whispered, "I'm sorry." "Huh? What are you sorry for?" Tang Wulin asked in confusion. Gu lowered her head and spoke, "I shouldn't have acted up with you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have had come to the Spirit Ascension platform. Actually, I saw you and Enea today." Tang Wulin was stunned for a moment. "How's this your fault? I really did plan to come here. I can only say that we were a little unlucky." "Enea? What's with Enea?" "She? Nothing." Gu suddenly interrupted him. Meanwhile, both of the title Dolors had already walked over. "Wulin, let's return now." Yoli grabbed Tang Wulin's hand suddenly. With a smile on her face, the Heavenly Phoenix Dolor spoke, "Sister Yoli, I haven't seen you in a long time. Why don't you stay and let me treat you to a meal? It will be another 2 hours before the results of the inspection are out." "You see." Yoli smiled as she shook her head. "There's no need. I still have some matters to attend to when I return. He's still waiting for me. Let's go." She pulled Tang Wulin along as they made their way outside. The middle-aged woman who was standing at the entrance looked inquisitively toward the Heavenly Phoenix Dolor, whose expression became gloomy. The Heavenly Phoenix Dolor shook her head gently. The Holy Spirit Dolor brought along Tang Wulin as they left together. Not even one of the Spirit Pagoda's staff tried to stop them. Bang! Leng Yaozhu slapped the table in front of her, her face green with rage. Gu was startled as she had never seen her teacher so furious. "Teacher, what happened?" she asked in concern. Leng Yaozhu spoke ferociously, "She's only here to flaunt her strength at me. HMPH. What is so good about her? Why is she pretending to be all holy and pure? HMPH. Gu was slightly dumbstruck. What's going on here? The Holy Spirit Dolor waved her hand once after she exited the Spirit Pagoda. A white soul ring circled around her body and Tang Wulin's. The surrounding scenery immediately turned blurry. He could not feel that he was flying. He could not even see everything on the outside, as though he was simply in a comfortable space. "Are you feeling curious about my attitude earlier?" The Holy Spirit Dolor could not help smiling at Tang Wulin's dumbfounded expression. Tang Wulin nodded honestly. The Holy Spirit Dolor was truly acting completely different today. The Holy Spirit Dolor answered, "Initially, there was no need for me to come today, and yet, I came over the moment I heard it was Leng Yaozhu. I would never allow her to bully you. Let me tell you a little secret, she's considered my rival." "Oh, Wulin. You're blessed with natural talent in cultivation, and you'll definitely amount to great things in the future. However, you must pay more attention to your relationships. You'll attract more and more females as you grow older because of your excellence. Don't flirt. A man should be monogamous. Don't ever behave like someone." Meanwhile, in the Sea God's pavilion, someone suddenly sneezed. His nose was feeling rather itchy. "What is going on? I've long since become immune to heat and cold. How did this happen? Who's talking about me?" Back in the Spirit Pagoda, it was announced, "The results of the inspection are out." Leng Yaozhu sat at the head table in the meeting room. The people sitting below were those in charge of the different departments in the Spirit Pagoda headquarters, including the manager of the Intermediate Spirit Ascension platform. "All right. Explain to everyone," Leng Yaozhu instructed her staff. The staff immediately turned on the projector, and Tang Wulin's figure was projected onto the white wall. Gu was staring at Tang Wulin's image in the projection as she stood behind Leng Yaozhu. She could not help feeling strange since this was the first time she looked at him in this manner. He appeared rather helpless at that moment, and she felt a twitch in her heart out of nowhere. Tang Wulin. Male, 14 years old. The class monitor of first grade Class 1 student in the outer courts of Shrek Academy. The first graders in this batch are reputed as the strongest freshman class in Shrek Academy. There are many outstanding students in the class, but for him to be elected as the class monitor for this particular class, he has to have truly outstanding abilities. Today, he even came to the Spirit Ascension platform. Following that was a description of the events that took place throughout the Spirit Ascension platform. We've carried out a thorough inspection and analysis of his body and discovered astonishing results. For starters, his body does not contain a single trace of the Overlord Dragon. In other words, although we clearly witnessed the Overlord Dragon being absorbed into his body, there's no sign of its existence. It's as if it has vanished into thin air. The meeting room broke out into a series of discussions once she mentioned that. An elder mumbled, "This doesn't even make sense. The Overlord Dragon is an unyielding spirit soul. It possesses exceedingly vast energy in its body. Judging by normal circumstances, although it's a spirit soul, even an ordinary 10,000-year soul beast spirit soul is not necessarily comparable to its mighty force. The energy generated from such a soul beast is definitely not something a youth at rank 30 soul power is capable of enduring. It doesn't make sense that it would just vanish without a trace now. It doesn't make sense, but it's the truth. Elder Qian, we've carried out all a meticulous inspection, but there's truly nothing. The child didn't lie when he told us there was nothing left behind by the Overlord Dragon in his body." Leng Yaozhu waved her hand and said, "Continue. Explain your other analyses." "Yes. Although we can't detect the existence of the Overlord Dragon within Tang Wulin's body, we discovered many unusual things. First, his martial soul is blue-silver grass, a trash-tier martial soul which has limited growth opportunities. On the other hand, his bloodline contains a unique form of strength, and when we analyzed his blood, we found that although it meets the criteria of human blood, the vast strength it affords him is far beyond what regular human beings have." "Is he a hybrid?" the elder from before asked once again. The staff shook his head in reply. "He isn't a hybrid. He's a pure human being. However, the immense strength his blood affords him is very distinct. Put simply, there's a unique energy combined with the red blood cells within his body. We were unable to separate the energy, but it was rather similar to the energy generated when his martial soul and bloodline was bound to him. Under normal circumstances, the energy provided by the martial soul will dissipate into the air once the blood leaves the human body. However, his remained intact. On the contrary, the energy was strongly bound to his blood. There's only one circumstance that fits this description. The bloodline within his body is extremely powerful. We've also examined his body thoroughly. How do I describe the strength of his body? If I were to measure his strength quantitatively, it has already exceeded an ordinary six-ringed Soul Emperor. Moreover, I'm talking about a six-ringed, assault-type Soul Emperor. Everything from his bones and nerves to his internal organs are capable of achieving such a ranking." The meeting room turned a little quieter. After a long pause, a middle-aged man spoke, "Good Lord, he really does prove himself to be a little monster cultivated by Shrek Academy. He's really peculiar." The staff gave a forced laugh as he spoke. There were even stranger findings later on. After our inspection, we found that his spiritual power is roughly placed between level 650 to 700. This is exceptionally above the others who are at his age. He is at the Spirit C rank. However, when we were attempting to inspect his spiritual powers state on a deeper level, our instruments wouldn't work, so we weren't able to continue with the examination of his brain. The instruments wouldn't function. This time, even Leng Yaozhu was astonished. "Yes. We didn't use instruments that are even stronger on him, considering that he's a student from Shrek Academy. Otherwise, it's highly likely that would hurt his brain. Generally, our ordinary instruments can complete all inspections necessary for soul masters who are on an even higher rank than he is. Next is his data analysis, his red blood cells content." A series of data was swiftly presented before everyone. Basically, every single data point from Tang Wulin's body indicated an abnormality, especially the density of his muscles and bones that exceeded an ordinary person by many folds. According to our judgment, his strength is exceptionally strong. How do I explain this? Our comprehensive evaluation on him indicates that he's a beast in human form. If this young man is capable of continuously growing at this rate, he's going to be an exceedingly amazing being only by virtue of his strength when he reaches adulthood. Aside from his soul power that's developing along a regular path, everything else far exceeds an ordinary soul master. Leng Yaozhu frowned. It sounded as if the data from Tang Wulin's inspection was so abnormal that he far exceeded ordinary beings. In reality, this was not so out of the ordinary, especially since he was from Shrek Academy. Since when did normal humans exist in Shrek Academy? The Overlord Dragon's spirit soul that they truly wanted to test showed them nothing. It was as if it had truly vanished into thin air. In the history of the Spirit Pagoda, this was the first time this situation had ever happened. The Overlord Dragon's spirit soul valuable, this was without a doubt. However, although the information the Spirit Pagoda possessed was sufficient, the problem with such a phenomenon was the question if it was related to the Spirit Ascension platform. The Spirit Ascension platform was the core of the Spirit Pagoda. If a problem arose there, it would be enough to shake the Spirit Pagoda's foundation. Platform Master Leng, please instruct us. How do we manage the follow-up? Should we continue to look for that Tang Wulin for further inspections? Don't. Leng Yaozhu had yet to speak when Ji Yu behind her suddenly spoke. Dozens of gazes in the room were immediately focused at her. Ji Yu did not cower because of all those gazes. Don't. He's about to represent Shrek Academy to head to Star Luo continent for the exchange program. The Academy will never allow him to be inspected again. A middle-aged man looked at her before turning his gaze toward Leng Yaozhu once more. So, regarding this matter, do we just acknowledge that we were unlucky? Regarding our loss, that is? Leng Yaozhu waved her hand. Now isn't the time to talk about losses. The Intermediate Spirit Ascension platform will be temporarily closed for a month of an internal inspection to ensure that it's not problematic. We'll preserve all the data, and once he's done representing Shrek Academy in the exchange program, we'll inspect him once again. I'll figure out a way to convince Shrek Academy, GUU. The disciple is here. You'll be heading to Star Luo continent with him. You must observe Tang Wulin closely during this period of time. Remember to immediately let me know if any anomalies occur to his body once you've returned. Yes, teacher, GUU answered. She understood that when she suddenly spoke earlier to keep Tang Wulin from another inspection, she was only concerned that another inspection would cause harm to him. She lost all self-control at that exact moment when the words escaped her lips. It was without a doubt that the Spirit Pagoda suffered a huge loss on this matter. They had no other choice since Tang Wulin was a student at Shrek Academy. Even if the Spirit Pagoda was capable of commanding the wind and rain on the continent, they would not dare to directly offend Shrek Academy. This was the overbearing power they accumulated over the years. They would not be able to do anything even if they made no discovery after Tang Wulin was brought over for another inspection. They would not even be able to make him compensate them for the loss for one simple reason: he could not afford it. If he was just an ordinary soul master who was unrelated to Shrek Academy, Leng Yaozhu would certainly figure out a way to make him join the Spirit Pagoda. As long as he became part of them, any advantage he gained from absorbing the Overlord Dragon's spirit soul would still be closely related to the Spirit Pagoda. The first thing that Tang Wulin did upon returning to the academy was to visit his special cultivation venue. He meditated to feel the change within himself. Unfortunately, the only change he felt after meditating until the next morning was nothing. There was absolutely nothing at all. The Overlord Dragon's presence was non-existent. It was as if it had never appeared before. This truly frustrated Tang Wulin. How could a big creature disappear just like that? Moreover, it was some so-called unyielding spirit soul. No one would believe him if he were to say that this was normal. He wondered what the Spirit Pagoda's reaction would be. There was nothing else he could do here anyway. After cultivating purple demon eyes in the morning, Tang Wulin met Guu in the cafeteria to inquire about the Spirit Pagoda's situation. Guu informed him that all was well within the Spirit Pagoda and there was no need to worry. No need to worry? Tang Wulin was still puzzled. The Spirit Pagoda was not supposed to be so amiable, right? It was the Overlord Dragon after all. However, since Guu said all was well, everything was probably fine. This was closely related to the Academy. Under the protection of people with power and influence, one could profit. When the Holy Spirit Dolor chose to head there personally, it was already a sign that there were many problems. Let's begin our lesson. Wu Zhongkong walked to the back of the rostrum and announced the start of today's class. Stand up, Tang Wulin instructed habitually. They stood up and saluted as the class began. I'm going to announce something before the start of our lesson. Tang Wulin, Guu, Xie, Xu Xiaoyong, Xu Lishi, and Yi Xinglan. Today is the last day of class for all 6 of you. You'll all be given a day's rest tomorrow before you are to depart the day after tomorrow to participate in the exchange program in Star Luo continent. That is why today's lesson will be my final lesson for you for the coming year. Tang Wulin and Guu's class duties will be passed on to Wu Sidua and Luo Guixing. Wu Sidua will be the class monitor, while Luo Guixing will be the assistant class monitor. Yang Nianxia will progressively take over the role as assistant class monitor and the blacksmith's committee. Although many people were aware that Tang Wulin and the others were leaving soon, it was then that finally realized that the time had come after listening to Wu Zhongkong's announcement. Tang Wulin and the others would represent the academy in Star Luo continent for an entire year. There were very few who were envious of them. This was because many people did not agree that there was anywhere else that was more suitable for cultivation than Shrek Academy. Although a year in the exchange program would increase one's experience and knowledge, it was not necessarily a good thing for one's cultivation. Ring. The bell rang indicating that the class had ended. Wu Sidua walked and stood before Tang Wulin. Don't let me exceed you when you return a year later. Tang Wulin chuckled. I'm looking forward to that day. Yang Nianxia walked to Tang Wulin's side. He stretched out his huge arm and wrapped it around Tang Wulin's shoulder. Leave the duties of class monitor and blacksmithing to me. Don't worry, I'll lead everyone well. Tang Wulin scoffed as he gave a forced laugh. You've always been leading everyone. Naturally, the blacksmith committee should belong to yours as well. He felt as if he had never truly performed his duties in the blacksmith committee since he usually practiced forging by himself. Yet, no one else in the class complained because Tang Wulin would frequently help the others with their forging for free or for a minimal charge. The products that he forged were of impeccable quality. Tang Wulin's high prestige in first grade class 1 for almost 2 years was already irreplaceable from the very beginning. Luo Guixing's gaze appeared slightly dazed as he muttered to himself, I actually hope to explore the world. My dream is to become a traveler and visit every place in this world. I didn't expect that all of you would be a step ahead of me now. I'll definitely go once I've graduated. Xu Yuqing spoke coldly. Graduated? It's still too early for you. He was right. Every single one of them had an opportunity to enter the inner court of Shrek Academy. Although they did not have a spirit alloy one-word battle armor, they already had more than a third of their one-word battle armor. They would certainly become one-word battle armor masters by the time they were in second grade if they continued at their current speed. They could even achieve rank 50 and above to become Soul King powerhouses. This would definitely ensure their place in the inner courts. Then, they would need to become two-word battle armor masters to graduate from the inner court. They were not allowed to leave the academy before they became two-word battle armor masters. The length of that process would depend on their natural talents. Cough. Cough. It seems like becoming a two-word battle armor master is a little difficult, to say the least. Luo Guixing's face was filled with frustration as he spoke. It seems like my dream will have to be postponed then. Tang Wulin laughed in reply. All right, don't grieve over the passing of spring. I'll bring back some souvenirs for everyone when I return. Really? Wu Sidua asked. Really, Tang Wulin replied earnestly. Xie whispered from the side of the room, there's no need to put such high hopes on it. Coming from our stingy class monitor, it definitely won't be anything good. Tang Wulin glared at him ferociously. Will it kill you if you didn't speak so frankly? A souvenir. What is a souvenir? As long as it has some meaning to it, how is price even related to the souvenir? The crowd could not help laughing. Yes. He was still the stingy Tang Wulin. Tang Wulin and the rest did not leave the classroom as they chatted. They did not say it out loud, but everyone was heavy-hearted when it came to parting with one another. Although they were constantly bustling about after they came here, they were always studying and cultivating continuously. However, it was only after they arrived that they gradually became stronger and gained an understanding of many things. This was Shrek Academy, the most prestigious academy in the entire continent and perhaps, even the entire continent. This was Shrek Academy, the pride of every student here. How could they not feel the unwillingness to part when they were about to leave for an entire year? All right, let's go back now. We should go and pack our things. Tang Wulin finally stood up and took a glance at the 100 tables and chairs before he walked out of the classroom. When we return, I'll certainly become even stronger and more powerful. Star Luo continent, here we come. The blue sky was cloudless, and the sunlight was so beautifully bright that it felt hot. This type of weather always put one's mind at ease. At the very least, it was not depressing. Tang Wulin and his companions arrived at a city that he was familiar with. It was Sky Sea City, the largest city east of Star Luo continent. Tang Wulin and Gu Yu first met Shu Lishi and Yi Xinglan here back in the day. There was a total of 10 people from Shrek Academy. The Silver Moon Doluo Cai Yua was the leader of the group while Sky Ice Wu Zhongkong was the chaperone teacher. The students present were Tang Wulin, Ji Yu Yu, Yu Zhengyu, Xie Xie, Xu Xiaoyan, Shu Lishi, and Yi Xinglan. All the 8 working students were there. They were at the Sky Sea City together with the Star Luo continent delegation. After more than a year in the exchange, the Star Luo continent delegation was about to travel by boat back to the Star Luo continent. They could not travel by long-haul flight to leave this place since the airspace was closed, and mechas could not travel such a long distance. Only the Doluo continent had long-haul flights at the moment. The Federation would never risk their newest technology, the Soul airplane, being stolen in order to send off the Star Luo continent's delegation. That reason alone was why they were traveling by boat. Eat all you can. The meal today is on me, Tang Wulin called out to his companions in an extremely straightforward manner. Yi Xinglan pouted her lips while she was eating. This little dining room was the exact one where he left her and Shu Lishi hanging in the past. Although the food was scrumptious, she could not help but feel offended when she recalled what happened back then. That treacherous fellow. HMPH. Their salt roast fish conquered everyone's taste buds, and everyone was chowing down the food joyously. Only Wu Zhongkong ate politely while Elder Cai stopped eating after she ate some seafood since she had a small appetite. Elder Cai's gaze appeared slightly dazed at this moment because this was the first time she was seeing Tang Wulin during meal time. This young man is too capable of eating, right? Has he been eating like this in the academy all this while? Elder Cai could not help asking Wu Zhongkong, who sat beside her. The corners of Wu Zhongkong's lips twitched as he nodded and spoke, yes. Elder Feng promised Tang Wulin that he'd provide for his meals. That's why his food allowance is paid for by Elder Feng. Elder Cai smiled as she replied, no wonder. The moment that crazy old man found out that we were going to depart, his expression was as if he had been relieved from a heavy burden. So it turns out this young man scared Elder Feng with his appetite. The coldness on Wu Zhongkong's face seemed to become much gentler now. He turned to the side and looked toward Tang Wulin, who was chomping down his food, and could not help recalling the past in his mind. It would be great if she was still here. He looked at a group of 14 to 15-year-old youths eating and drinking as they chatted away, laughing joyously. It was good to be young. Yuanan, you should eat more. Xie Xie placed a plate of chickpea shrimps in front of Yuan and Yehui. The chickpea shrimps tasted truly amazing. Its shell was hard but the flesh inside was exceedingly fresh and savory. Better yet, the salty gravy was absolutely out of this world. Tang Wulin and Xu Lishi's appetite were not hindered by little shrimps that were only a finger's length, but this was truly too scrumptious for them. Yuan and Yehui took a glance at Xie Xie as she received the plate and placed before her to slowly savor the taste. Xie Xie's gaze revealed his delight. He could indistinctly feel Yuan and Yehui rejecting him less now. This was a truly good beginning. The trip to Star Luo continent this time was considered a free trip that could perhaps improve their relationship even more. Everyone gradually stopped eating due to fullness. Although they had good appetites, they were still far behind Tang Wulin and Xu Lishi. This video will end here. Like video and subscribe to my channel.